Artlist.io.
Follow that voice inside my soul. That compass tells me where to go. Everything I touch turns to gold. It's automatic on the
Music
road.
licensing reimagined.
Let's ignite this feeling. Gotta let it out. Dancing on the ceiling won't come down. How about that? Bring it on back. Look where we at. How about that? How about that?
Artlist.io.
Exactly where I wanna be. You'll catch me doing as I please.
Music licensing reimagined.
I've ever felt so free. I keep on flowing with the breeze. Let's ignite this feeling. Gotta let it out. Dancing on the ceiling won't come down. How about that? Bring it on back. Look where we at. How about that?
Artlist.io.
How about that?
Music licensing reimagined.
I'm cool, I'm making my own rules. Don't tell me what to do. Round two, look out, I'm coming through. I keep on making moves. How about that? Bring it on back.
Artlist.io.
Look where we at. How about that? How about that? How about that?
Music licensing reimagined.
Good evening. This is Hannah Klein. Welcome to my podcast, Hannah Klein's Time. Before starting my podcast, I have to say this is a reader-based podcast. So please support my work. I want this podcast to be public because I think, information has value, but at the same time, I believe that people deserve to know the truth, especially about what is happening right now. Before starting my podcast, I am very excited that, Ambassador Shingo Yamagami, the former ambassador to Australia, he co-wrote a book, Kamingun, which is like government, civil service people, and the military, coming together to form intelligence. This is a very, very great idea. Ambassador Shingo Yamagami, he is one of the top diplomat who was involved in the intelligence, controlling intelligence of Japan. You know what? I was looking through the article, and Guardian. Oh, hi. What are you talking about? I saw this article headline, you know, wolf warrior or entertainer. Outspoken Japanese envoy Shingo Yamagami has no regrets as he departs Australia. Well, this is back when? You know what? Oh, yeah, I remember him when he actually resigned stepped down the position, and he was writing something on the way back to Japan on X, on Twitter, and that was back. This is the article from 2023. Well, he is outspoken, critic of China, and Guardian. I don't know what they are talking about, but they sound like, criticizing China is some kind of like, agitating behavior against China. Oh, really? I would say, oh, really? Because I would say that, it is a great thing that, ambassador and like him is actually speaking up against China. And actually I have seen some other diplomats, retired diplomats, not diplomats, I would exactly saying ambassadors, criticizing China for many reasons, becoming victims of something. But actually, they're not victims because they are just, they want to take something from people. And it's not just about the Japanese people. I have some other friends who are involved in China, and what they say is that, Japanese people, I have to talk about the Japanese people, but Japanese people are maybe group oriented, but, it is something about, cooperating each other. And that is something which is very, very nice, about working with the Japanese people. So, he has hired one person whom I know of, has hired many best of the best Japanese people. I have to say, I cannot talk about the occupation for reasons, but he has hired many, many great Japanese people, and he thought that, working with Japanese people is very, was a very great, experience for him. And at the same time, he was talking, he has been studying history. And, I was talking with him about, President Truman. I have a lot to think. I had a lot to think as well because of what happened during the war. But I had a lot to think. And, just, putting what happened, aside. What he said is true, which is Japan has been the ally of the United States all the time, except during the Pacific War. That was very unfortunate for many reasons. just what happened was very unfortunate because Japan had always been the best ally of the United States. And that was what he was talking about. He actually has, he's Jewish. Yeah. So he was talking about, the Jewish banker, financing, the Russo-Japan War, American banker, supported Japan. That is, just, the relationship between Japan and the United States, has been very, very long throughout history. Culturally, historically, just meaning culturally, at business level, economically, well, hopefully, what we can hope for, we, meaning we, the Japanese people, can hope for is that, Prime Minister Takaichi is going to form economic alliance with the United States. What is happening in the United States is very, very unfortunate because socialism never works, okay? Free supermarket, all these, propaganda, made up by that mayor of New York City. Oh my God. Mamdani. I talked about this with a fund owner. He used to own banks as well. But, he was talking about Mamdani. He was saying that Mamdani was going to win, unfortunately. So, for a certain period of time, people have to endure that socialism. He's now like, what? So I was watching ABC News today, and what, ABC News said, oh, the democratic Mamdani. Where is democratic about this man using private jet, going, flying to Puerto Rico, for a meeting? What is that? I mean, it's not needed, right? You can have a meeting with just a cup of coffee from maybe McDonald's, President Trump likes, Big Mac, right? For the French fries, coffee probably, and then he can have some what? He will probably have family time at McDonald's, I guess. Well, I'm sorry. That sounds rude. But I think that the government shutdown is unfair because it will hurt a lot of people who really need pays. I have to say this, the government workers are not getting pays because of the government shutdown. And who is shutting down? Who is to blame? I'm sorry, but, Republicans are not to blame. It's because of Senator Schumer. He needs to open up the fund to feed people who work for the government, and he cannot shut down the government. He is the one who is shutting down the government. Well, by the way, my podcast is classified as political podcast. Well, I did myself classify my podcast very kind of explicit. Well, it's explicit, but it's it's I think that I have to be honest in reporting what kind of podcast I have. But anyway, the reason why I talked about Ambassador Yamagami, well, there are a lot of reasons I will be talking about him, because I will be speaking about this book that he wrote. And, I found out that, probably New York Times, old media, maybe classify him as, aggressive, whatever, right wing. He's not. He's a very, very nice person. I write to his post, about seasonal replies and all these things, and he's very nice. But anyway, there is a problem. This is a big thing. Okay. Our prime minister, now I really, really feel like saying our prime minister. The first time I introduced her, she is from the middle class, which means, I did not say that, she's not economically, whatever, middle class, but, she is from, the public of Japan. That is, something extraordinary, because she is not a political elite, but, she was elected from, with, such high popularity, not just among young people, I think. Conservatives like me, love her, really. Yeah, I have supported her for a long time. And this time I was like, yearning and complaining about the election because blah, blah, blah. And then she won. And it was like, wow. But, wow. But, she is our prime minister. Our prime minister, meaning not just my prime minister, but everyone's prime minister. But, see, our prime minister, Takaichi, she, this council, of Osaka, of China, in Osaka, Shuejian, right? By the way, his X account is Shuejian Osaka. It's like XUEGIAN OSAKA. So write to him your opinion about what he said today. He said that that was disgusting. Yeah, I just cannot believe it. But he said that well, exactly, I should say this. Yeah, he said that he should his the prime minister's neck has to be cut off right away. See, when it comes to this kind of thing, the language context matters, and you know what? It doesn't matter, whether it was, moderate, it was joking, whatever. It was totally inappropriate, and this is not the first time. Okay, please remember, friends, okay? Please remember, this is not the first time he said something very aggressive. He's like, he is a globalized intifada man to me. So please write to him, okay? XUEGJIAN Osaka. Well, you have to add at on X. Okay, you can write to him through Twitter. Okay, this idiot, he has to delete his posts every time he writes. So please write to him, because he needs to be grilled. But back in so I have to say this. I talk about Israel, and this is about Israel. Sankei Shimbun also talked about this, but I was reading on X. But what I read on X was extraordinary. It was on June 14th. Shui Jian, okay, that is his name, okay, he wrote, the Nazi 1933 to 1945 massacred Jews. Israel 1948 to now, right, is a Jewish massacre of others. Well, others meaning, the Palestinians, right? But anyway, this kind of statement, this is like, called anti-Israel, which is anti-Semitism, ultimately. But do you know why it's anti-Semitism? Do you know why this statement is anti-Semitic? And do you know why this is a problem? This statement exactly is a problem. And it's not because, Israel is angry at being called Nazi. Not just that. It's humiliating, of course. I mean, it lacks common sense to call people that way, because in Israel, there are a lot of people who are the descendants of the Holocaust survivors, and you call them, the Nazis, right? I mean, you are doing something terrible. One time, there was an idiot who told me, I hate Jews. He's not my friend. I have to say that, it's not so long ago. This idiot lacks common sense in many ways. But, he said something you know, well, I cannot tell in detail, but I hate Jews, he said. Well, I was asking a lot about, a lot of about anti-Semitic activities, blah blah blah, and all these things. And one time he said that. Do you know how angry I got? You cannot imagine. I decided never to answer exactly. In a way, whatever. For like 6 months or something, I was not listening to what he was saying. But anyway, you know, he's not my ex-boyfriend though. um, so see, Nazi. Sure. Further stated, I have to say. For Nazi Germany, the U.S. was an enemy. For Israel, the U.S. is an ATM. See, this is something very anti-Semitic. Like, he thinks that, U.S. is funding the war, right? So that's why, Israel is able to continue the war. Well, look at 6-Day War, for example, or the war when before I have to say before Israel became independent. One rabbi, okay, Avi Schwartz, he talked about this. His family was in the military, and it was atrocious, because they didn't have enough weapons. This person is okay. This person, which means this Shuai Jian, right? I'm sorry to say, but he I don't have any respect to him. The person, who want to say like something like what? The Prime Minister Takaichi deserves to be beheaded, right? Exactly saying. I mean, what kind of human is saying that? I would doubt it. And in my, I I would say this. My grandparents lived in China for 10 years. I have sometimes very humiliating comments, okay, from Chinese, okay. Not all, but some Chinese are very, very aggressive, like this one, and um 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 it's just so distressing. It's not because it's depressing. The reason why the Chinese Council wrote was that Japan awarded Taiwan for its relationship. Well, it has, Japan has had very close relationship with Taiwan. The Taiwanese people are able to, freely come to Japan and, enjoy Japan and go back to Japan. Not like, there is no visa restrictions, basically. So, you have to go back, in 3 months, though, but, it's Taiwanese people, like Taiwan, in Japan, has had have had very old relationship, and considering, it's this statement of neck is not about the neck of not exactly the neck of meaning the prime minister, but it could be taken as we China is going to be able to exterminate Japan with the power. That is the statement of this Xue Jian, right? I mean, this is totally atrocious, terrible. And when the Xue Jian, he further went on after writing about the Nazi, massacred Jews. Israel is a Jew. This is a typical anti-Semitic, by the way, statement. You have to remember it. And I'm not surprised at all. Unfortunately, at most of the BDS globalized intifada, not because I am used to it, but I just probably understand the mentality because of the Japanese terrorist. And just on November 5th, I had an interview with Ambassador Cohen. What I was expecting was that, just posting it, okay? I am talking about the hostages. I am talking about the Japanese hostages as well. And this comment, I heard the conversation. It has stopped on October 7th. I don't know what it is about because I'm referring to Ambassador. We were talking about the education system after 1948. And, and Hamas has been educating children to become suicide bomber. And, when I see the terrorist attacks in Israel, I just have no choice but to look back at Fusako Shigenobu. And she is exactly talking about this. The Nazi massacred Jews. Israel is massacring the Palestinians. See, the TV stations love to invite her. I am sick and tired of listening to what she says. Okay, she should not be invited in the first place. But anyway, I have to read. I just, go away. But Xu further said, for Nazi Germany, the U.S. is, ATM. He also criticized Israel for regarding themselves as a particularly sacred people. Chinese people do have, this totalitarian ideology called Sinocentrism, which means that, China is the center of the universe. I mean, what the heck is that? Okay. I am about to say what the hell, but you know what the hell is that? Yeah. I mean, it's disgusting. Okay? You're not the center of the universe. And, he said, you know, particularly sacred people, devoting much of their national power to the military, disregarding international law. Who is violating the international law? China is. Okay, South China Sea. Okay, don't ignore what you're doing, is what China is. And and then he goes, continuously expanding settlements, and unoccupied settlements on occupied land. Well, that's what China is doing. Don't talk about others. And then there was no choice but to Ambassador Cohen replied. I still remember that too. I don't know how many people have read this, but anyway. Well, it goes this. Well, it was originally in Japanese because the conversation was in Japanese, and this Shuijuan Osaka, he deleted it. And Ambassador Cohen stated China Consul General in Osaka has crossed every line. That shameful incitement of using a Nazi symbol to condemn Israel. See, this is a form of, agitation, and aggressive agitation against, basically, China, this person, this Xie Zhuan, is trying to implant someone to attack. Okay, there's no choice but Ambassador replied to this, but anyway, to condemn Israel is not only utterly dishonorable, but also anti-Semitic, right? Dangerous, and a grave insult to the memory of the Holocaust. Israel is defending itself from the genocidal Iranian regime that openly declares its intent to annihilate the nation with nuclear weapons and has deployed a large number of ballistic missiles. I strongly urge the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs to take immediate and resolute action. Anti-Semitism and the incitement of hatred must not be tolerated in Japan in any way. See, what he is saying is that, he's not talking about, Israel has to be special. He's not saying such a thing. Okay, if talk to Israeli people, you will never feel that way. They are very understanding. They are very, low-key people, which means that, not low-key meaning like, but, I have to say, down-to-earth people. Like everyone is very open to understanding. They listen to people very well all the time. Not all the time, if you meet nice Israeli people. Okay, I don't know if it's 100%, but fortunately I have met very nice Jewish people and Israeli people. So the problem, okay, this, I don't know. Well, it's 70% certain that this incitement actually, Nazi symbol, Nazi being Israel, this is spread by Russia and China, Chinese bots. You have to be careful. You you are controlled by people. You don't have will to act. That's a sad thing. You have to decide for yourself. Decide, okay, this is very hard to be honest, but just stay away from, all these, I have to say, TikTok channel, all these things. I will write a newsletter on Substack about some of the anti-Semites of Japan, the real anti-Semites. I invited a podcast guest. I don't like to criticize my podcast guests, but I have to do that. Not because I don't like him though. The Japanese, with watermelon, meaning, pro-Palestinians. I'm not talking about pro-Palestinians, those who support real Palestinians. Or, but any, those people in Kibbutz Berry, the people who were attacked were very compassionate to people in Gaza. But look what happened. It's not only Hamas. And Hamas educate people, the public. And you need to listen to what people are saying in Arabic. Listen to Sharia law. It's terrible, disgusting. And we have to fight against Sharia law. I really believe that way. And Japan, Japan is not a nation of Sharia law, for sure. Japan is a nation of religious freedom. However, there is no place for Sharia law. That's for sure. So, and also, I really hope, this is my wish and hope. But, I hope that, we have had a very close relationship with the Jewish people for a very long time. Unfortunately, Israel had been, I'm not sure, because, many countries are now, thinking of joining Abraham Accords, and I really hope that they do, so that there is better relationship in the Middle East. So, you cannot try to find, opportunities to criticize, like President Trump. President Trump has been very, realistic in a way, and diplomacy. And look, when he came to Japan, he was very down to earth, and he was a state guest. He met the emperor, and also for he practiced, calling Prime Minister Takaichi, Sanai many times, and tried, that is very important actually, because calling in the English culture, calling by first name and the last name, are very different in impression, and also calling by by first name, of course. That's kind of very important, I really think. And um, Prime Minister Takaichi showed her superb diplomacy in her first, you know, uh, first diplomatic stage. It was a first diplomatic stage for her, and she, in my impression, she looks very young. I know her real age, but I don't want to tell her to talk about it because, she acts. When she acts, she is very much, she looks younger, really. I cannot believe that, she's her age. But, she looks very young, but I'm sorry that, she has some physical issues. But, I really hope that she takes care of herself very well so that, she fulfills the term. Not just one term, that, but, the entire term, because Japan needs reform. That is very important economically, and at the same time, she's very fit to be the leader, you know, of Japan. I really feel that way. And I really believe that she will lead Japan in the right direction. And Japan will be strong. Japan will be beautiful. Japan will stay a beautiful country, a beautiful nation. And I really hope that, I'm very, honored and thankful that Ambassador Cohen, came to my podcast and discussed various topics, because realistically, having alliance with Israel has a lot of merit to Japan, because Israel is a real democratic nation, and it's a very, very advanced nation in research, in various fields, especially in cybersecurity, defense, and intelligence. Okay, these three are superb in Israel. I once, when I started to write about Israel again, I had to stop for a while because there were just so many hateful comments against me, directed against me. But after October 7th, I decided that I don't care about them. And now I feel that, I really hope it does not matter anymore. Anyone, okay, please understand. Please understand what anti-Semitism is. Please understand the nature of it. You will, you cannot believe what UNRWA had educated children for decades. And I'm not talking about October 7th. I have been talking about 1948 and even before that. I have, been talking about this since I started, this podcast, Zionism, Christian Zionism as well. But anyway, I would like to end my podcast for today. And I hope that you have a good night in Japan. And, in the United States, you have a good day because it's the start of the day. Like, in the East Coast, it's 11. In the West Coast, it's like even earlier, right? But anyway, I really hope that, people understand what anti-Semitism and its nature is, really. So, and at the same time, you have to write to this idiot, Shuejian Osaka, okay? You need to, have public opinion to expel him from Japan. He needs to go back to Japan, and no, China, I mean. He needs to go back to China, never come back to Japan. Okay, thank you very much. But anyway, please support me, okay? Please become a paid subscriber and support me. Good night.
Artlist.io.
Wanna get up, no nothing but them possibilities. Feel the wind blow through my hair, feel the ground under my feet. Wanna go out, I can tell they all in love with me. Got that style to make them stare, got that Leo energy. See jaws dropping and heads bobbing, they better. We bottle popping and living
Music
it up
licensing
together.
reimagined.
Everybody tell me that they want this life forever. Put your hands up if you feel like treasure. I'm gorgeous, I know it, I show it slowly. They know I take over, creme de la young. Really just wanna have fun. Yes, I'm magnetic, they love me, touch me, they try, but I'm running everything in the city. Young and I'm dumb, but I'm pretty. See jaws dropping and heads bobbing, they better. We bottle
Music
popping and
licensing
living it up
reimagined.
together.